Alright, I'm back with another Destiny 2 video. I waited until after reset to figure out if anything was going to happen. That was a surprise. Nothing happens. It's Solstice. We are probably not running into any kind of big developments until the epilogue in another couple of weeks. So I am going to talk about something I wrote an article about this morning, but it's a pretty big deal. It is the alleged leak of the true form of Savathun. I'm going to label this as potential spoilers because we don't know the validity of it, but I am leaning towards this being legit. We have seen kind of seasonal art leak in the past that it's turned out to be true. We've seen a number kind of leaked list items that have turned out to be true. I have not read the grand long list of leaks or anything, but I know at least some level of those have already come true. So clearly things are leaking from somewhere. This one I'm covering because it's kind of impossible to avoid. It's just an image that you will probably see on social media at some point. I have not shared the image literally myself until right now, but I am kind of, paving the way here with a bunch of spoiler warnings. So if you don't want to see it, I didn't put it in my thumbnail or anything, at least not visibly in my thumbnail. So if you don't want to see this, you can avoid it and then wait until, I don't know, a month from now when they maybe reveal this image during the Witch Queen reveal. But we'll see. The image that was shown, this was apparently leaked by someone who came into the Raid Secrets Discord, briefly dropped this very small image that looks like some sort of thumbnail from like a storefront, like the Epic Game Store, the PSN store. We don't know where it came from, but it looks like the kind of tiny little thumbnail that you would see from one of those. Then people used AI kind of up conversion to scale it up, and that's kind of why it looks a little bit like painted and blurry, because that's kind of the AI up conversion that has done that. I think it looks more like fan art than it actually is because of the scaling. So I think it is probably more legit than the blown up image actually appears to be. In it, we have Savathun with a built-in crown, which is convenient. She's the Witch Queen. And then really pointy shoulders or wings or something, and then she's in the trade offer meme guy pose. The design, I think the design is fine. I just think this is a very weird pose, and it's just kind of very awkward look for her. If this image is like a month away from release, maybe this will not be the final image that actually gets used, or maybe they scrap it if they don't. If the reaction to this is kind of like, huh, which is what I've seen on the internet. And they might just change it overall, but I guess we'll have to see. And then the most important bit here is the fact that there is a ghost in the frame, implying that Savathun now has her own ghost. And this seems random, and like, why would you do that? Except for the fact that there's kind of been a long-running theory that one of Savathun's main goals is to acquire the light for herself. In the lore in the past, she stated that she kind of wants to rid herself of the, hive worms inside her that are like darkness infused and whatever, and then gain the light. There is a lore entry, I think it's last season, where it's Savathun in disguise in the tower, probably as Cyrus, watching a Crucible match where she sees everyone be slaughtered and then ghosts kind of resurrect all the Crucible combatants like it's nothing, and she's looking around like, this is the most awesome power in the universe and you guys are using it for like sports. Okay, and that entry ends with her saying that she knows what she must do. Implying that she has a distinct interest in ghosts and resurrection. There's another lore entry where Osiris is studying the tech that the Cyans use to trap Zavala's ghost. And then some of the past missions, like Harbinger, one of the Harbinger missions, she had a blight set up by the Shard of the Traveler, and the idea is that maybe she is kind of doing all this to, sever the Hive's connection to the darkness and create a new connection with the light, which will yield immortality. There has also been a long-running theory that maybe this means that Savathun will end up being an ally with us, fighting against the darkness. Maybe, but I mean, I assume we will be fighting her in the Witch Queen. Like, that seems pretty clear to me, unless we're like teaming up with her against Sivu Arath or something. I don't know. But, allying with Savathun, like, how much could you really even trust Savathun? So maybe that's the long-term plan for Savathun. I kind of do see us making our way through the Witch Queen and not just like murdering Savathun and that's like the end of Savathun. I think she's been around too long to just kind of be a raid boss or whatever, and that's over. So I could see that happening, but for now, the idea of another race getting their own ghosts is very significant. both in terms of like, okay, so what does that mean for the general story? Does that mean like Ido and Mithrax could figure out a way to wield the light like the Hive have, which has kind of also been hinted at. And then in like moment-to-moment combat, what does it mean if you're fighting Hive that can resurrect themselves? Like, how is that going to work? If that's a mechanic that is applied to the broader race and not just Savathun, that would be massively game-changing, where that would practically be like getting a new race of enemies if suddenly, a race, Hive or otherwise, gets light powers. So I am very eager to see if this is true and this pans out. I am not 100% sure on this leak being legitimate at all. It just, the way you see leaks, I found, is that like the crappier quality and shorter and smaller they are, usually the more right they are. If you see some like giant 4,000 word Reddit post or some like super high res piece of concept art, those are usually not legit leaks. Like the more effort that's put into them and like a narrative and like all this stuff, the more fake they are. We've seen that. I think we saw that with a lot of 4chan leaks before, even if one or two panned out, but probably 8 or 9 were just BS. Whereas this is like a tiny bit of art that very much seems like a store thumbnail, very much in the style of other ones we've seen in the past, and yet I suppose it could have been drafted by someone who is looking to stir up the community and have people like me overreact to it so they can be like, gotcha, later. We have seen leaked seasonal art in the past in the style that has panned out and has proven to be correct. I think we saw the Chosen art leak. That was pretty close to when Chosen actually launched, but it did leak somehow. So that was, it's not unheard of. And clearly something is leaking at Bungie, because there have been all these different leaks. There is that giant kind of line list of leaks that I have not read yet. I've gone out of my way to not read that or cover it really. But, that's kind of seeping into kind of the general consciousness as more and more people just kind of give up and do read it eventually. And then some of those have come true already. I'm not sure what's going on there, but this one is just spreading around so much. I figured there was no point avoiding it. And just, if I'm prefacing it with a lot of spoiler warnings and the fact that I don't know if it's legit or not, I figured if you want to avoid it and you're not on social media all the time, you can. I think it's very exciting to potentially have the idea of Savathun or the Hive gaining the light, and hopefully in a way that is kind of more significant than Gaul gaining the light, which he did for like a 90-second boss battle. This could kind of fundamentally shift the way the Destiny universe works, if this is kind of a prolonged thing and not just like, her grabbing the power for one fight and then we take it away from her or something. This raises a few questions I didn't even consider in the article I wrote this morning about if you get a ghost. When you get a ghost, you have to die. So first Savathun has to die, and then you're resurrected. And then when you're resurrected, you get your memory wiped. So if Savathun is resurrected by a ghost, gaining the light power like humans and Awoken are and Exos, does that wipe her memory? Will she still be Savathun after that? We've seen literally this happen with Uldren, where he was this big villain and then he was wiped into Crow, who was pretty much an entirely new person. Lately, we have seen kind of bits and pieces of Uldren poke back through his psyche. So I suppose it's possible that, she could retain who she was, or she figured out some way to, get a ghost or get light power without having to lose her memory. But so many questions this raises, if the idea that the ghosts or the Hive are getting ghosts actually comes to pass. That will be very significant. The design, again, I just think this is kind of an awkward pose. I think that design has the potential to be cool if we just kind of see it in other contexts. People have also suggested that this could be a plant. It's like this giant ARG where Bungie is leaking fake images of Savathun, because that would be a very Savathun thing to do. And previously there was even a Truth to Power lore entry that was made specifically to like chastise data miners for data mining. So like this wouldn't be, I guess, the first time they've planted a leak like that on purpose. I kind of doubt that theory, although it would be hilarious, and I would fully accept being owned by that if this was what they did on purpose. But I'm excited. This image makes me more excited than concerned, even if the pose or whatever is a little weird. I think there's a lot to kind of dissect here, and this will probably not be the last bit of art that we see leaked over the course of the next month or 2 months or whatever. I would expect this is something that will probably be revealed with the Witch Queen reveal. Like maybe this is the image for when you go to pre-order it or something. This could be the image for season 15. We could be having some sort of season coming up that directly deals with Savathun before the Witch Queen. It's always possible. My theory I've talked about before is that we're going to go to the Dreaming City with Mara and try to break the Dreaming City curse, which is obviously directly related to Savathun, so maybe she shows up early instead of during the Witch Queen. So I guess we'll find out, but yeah, it's pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to obviously seeing more official stuff from the Witch Queen hopefully pretty soon here.